So the idea of being a good father all stemmed from really the fact that I came from a family and was raised by a father who basically was there. He cared for us, and he always wanted to either teach or show or demonstrate something to me as my father. When I grew up and I was going to have a kid, I wanted to do the same thing. I wanted to make sure that I was going to be a good father, but I wasn't always exactly sure what the plan was going to be. And I knew that my father, taught me and showed me things and demonstrated things to me. And I also know that he may not have come out directly all the time and said how proud he was of me, but I remembered a lot of times overhearing him say how proud he was of me for doing something. He would be bragging to one of his friends about who or what his son did. I was just resolved I was just going to love my son and be a godly example like my father was to me. Cole was born in 95, and like any father, was thrilled. And I had my first child and my first son all in the same. So that to me was just, I really wanted a boy first. And it was when he was 2 years old, a book came out that I read by Robert Lewis. It was called Raising a Modern Day Knight. And that book actually gave me a vision of what it would be like for Cole to be 18 and know that he's a man, walking into manhood. Okay. Robert Lewis' book talked about you have to have a definition first, a direction, and then a ceremony to really define for a young man this whole process that would be taking place to become a man. I thought this would be a great way for me to teach my son. And the process that I tried to follow was a process of certain rites of passages through the years. When I was young, my brothers and I did what we called a family fellowship of men with the younger relatives of ours who came from broken households, and we conducted these events for these young men throughout the years, and we would bring them to a retreat. And one of the things that we had in this retreat, that if they said a certain passage as would be a part of their rites of passage, and they would get these necklaces with these beads on it. And when my son was 5 years old, we thought we'll give him a bead, but we'll give him only one, which would be the beginning of the process for him to become a man. And so at 5 years old, we sat him in front of all of his relatives, my mother and father and his brothers and sisters, uncles and aunts, and we began to start telling him what a real man was. Each one of the relatives went around and talked to him about how they are seeing him take responsibility, how they're seeing him not being a passive young boy, how they're seeing him be courageous and recognizing that there are going to be some rewards later down the road if he obeyed and did certain things. Here I am tearing up and telling him that you're going to be a man. I'm proud of you. I've been proud of what you've been doing so far. And then I give him this necklace where he's seen all of his uncles wear this necklace, and he knows that he's on his way to a place. So that was the first rites of passage that we did for him. When Cole turned 10 years old, his rites of passage was an event that he liked to do. We were going to go away for the weekend, and he likes to snowboard. And I had never snowboarded, and this was the first time I snowboarded, and it was painful. We used this event as the opportunity to present him about the birds and the bees, learn about what it meant to have an intimate relationship with someone. And this was a time where I was able to give him a treasure chest of some very key things I wanted him to know throughout that time. That would talk about who he is, where he's planning to go, about his relationships with women, about being married one day. His uncles all wrote him a letter, and his grandparents wrote him, grandfathers wrote him a letter about what they experienced and how they sought after wisdom as young men. One I hope he pays attention to and uses a lot, there's a little icon, a little charm in there that's a phone, and it represented to him that I'm available to him whenever he wants to call. So when he goes away to college, I hope that he actually takes that opportunity and calls me sometimes. One of the other significant items in this treasure box is really a soapstone keepsake. The inside is this heart that's very soft, and On the outside, there's this lion kind of protecting this tree, which is intended to represent that this lion is protecting this heart that is inside of the soapstone keepsake. And the idea is that his heart one day is going to be given to his wife. And the thought would be that he would protect his purity the same way that that lion is protecting that tree. And that on the outside, he can have a hard, kind of stoic presentation to other people, but he's not going to soften himself entirely to the point that he will one day with his wife. And my prayer, my hope is that one day that heart he'll be able to, with sincerity and purity, give that to his wife and say, I've protected this for you. When I took Cole to Jamaica, the theme for his Jamaica trip was preparing to fight your own battles. And the theme of that trip was really about he's becoming a man. He's becoming a man in ethics. He's at this place in his life where he's going to be able to make some choices on his own. And so as he was going to Jamaica, there's certain things I allowed him to do. Take care of some things about the flight, and you need to go ask this person, you go do these things. And it was really kind of you fight our battles here as we're navigating through this country, this foreign country that you don't know about. Through the juncture of going to this trip, I was always identifying things that he could do to prepare to do something he hadn't done before. One of the things we would do is, as we were driving in a car through the countryside, I would stop along the side and pick up people who I knew were going to work and put them in the car, and we would have conversations with them, and I would always encourage him to come up with something to ask. When Carmen and I went to Jamaica, we jumped off a cliff at Rick's Cafe, and it became something that we did. And when we were at Rick's Cafe, it was something that I said, Cole, you could do this. Your mother and I did this. And so he did it as well. He jumped off the cliff, and that was a significant thing for him, Cole jumping off the cliff. It's like, well, I've done it, your mother's done it, this is a family tradition now. The conclusion of this trip to Jamaica commenced with me awarding Cole a sword, and the sword was the theme of preparing to fight your battles. And I kind of dubbed him. We kind of did it when we got home, because we obviously couldn't take the sword to Jamaica. On the way when we got home, all the family was there, his immediate family, and I kind of dubbed him and said, Cole, you are preparing to fight your own battles. There are some battles that you will create on your own, and there are some battles that just as a man, you have to face in life. Choose to just face those and not to create so many battles of your own doing that you don't necessarily have to do, was the encouragement. And then when he turned 16, I really wanted to have a Rites of Passage for him that talked about having the right kind of friends, the friends that you choose, because the scripture clearly says that bad company corrupts good morals. So bad company corrupts good morals was the scripture that I wanted to be able to really emphasize for him as it related to making good friends. But it was a challenging year of friendships during that time, and so we didn't really have this kind of ceremony that I really wanted to put together, but we did talk through that time about how significant good friends were. And I've always been very impressed at the choices that he has made with his friends because of that conversation, or a series of conversations, obviously, that we've had about the significance of friends. So now here we are at Cole's final Rites of Passage, Rise Up. And this Rites of Passage is probably the most significant one. And the final conclusion of Rites of Passage that I've learned is that it is something in which a ceremony brings significance to. And we've had ceremonies since he was 5 years old when he received his first necklace. And now here he is, 18 years old. And he's going to receive the completion of that necklace on that evening and on this evening. And it will be significant for him because he will know that he is prepared to fight his own battles. And he will know that regardless of what has happened in his life, how he's made mistakes here, or how he's then risen up and not fallen, or how he has risen up after he has fallen, he'll see and recognize as he grows into life and walks as a man that there'll be times that he will fall down. But he'll know, yeah, I've fallen down before, but I know I'll rise up. And I guess as a father, the one thing you want to know that your kid is going to do is rise up one day. And he has risen up, and he will rise up. I know that he will. So this is the conclusion of his final rites of passage into manhood, because he is a man, and he's demonstrated that. He's shown that clearly by what he's done, what I've seen him do. Many people think that when you get to the stage and your son's going to go off and you're going to be sad and regretful, I'm going to miss him. In fact, I feel like I'm going to miss him now, and I think I look at him across the room. I think I'm going to miss him being here. But I'm glad that he's prepared to go. And I could say that I am very proud of him for what he has done, and I'm very pleased.